That was a lot. I didn't mean to pour that.
Please don't throw up. Go to the bathroom if you have to throw up.
I don't like tequila. I remembered that.
Let's just put this on the record. Never do something because I say to do it. I only want you to try it because it's really good tequila and it's nice tequila. But if you hate it, never do that.
No, it's not that I don't hate it. It's just I think I had a lot in my mouth, and
conversations. Hey, welcome to the podcast. We've already been laughing since this thing started, so welcome. We've actually been recording for hours, and here we go. So we're into it now. We want to talk today. This is, if you're watching this, you might actually think, why in the world are these two guys talking about this? And today's whole entire goal of this episode is to talk about what does it mean to actually be not only a parent, but I guess a father more specifically, and running your own business, being a sales pro, being a professional, trying to be a high performer while having kids, right? I mean, like, you want to talk about one of the hardest tasks to accomplish, being 100% focused on something you care about while also having to be 100% focused on something you sometimes care about.
or having to be 100% focused on something you care about and something that you need to keep alive.
Oh, so tough keeping them
Yeah,
alive.
it's hard to keep kids
What
alive
a challenge.
sometimes. I don't know what I would do.
I was
without
thinking
my
about
wife.
the business. Yeah, kids too. Kids
are tough.
I think what's great about this conversation is you're seeing a lot of it. Like, obviously right now, it's a nice, fun trend to either be talking about, your faith, your religion, and being a business owner, to talk about your family. Neither one of us ever wanted to leverage our families for clickbait, right? That's not our goal. We just talk about them because we love our wives and we love our kids and we enjoy it. We both are married. We both have 2 children, and we're passionate about it. We thoroughly enjoy being husbands and fathers, and honestly, it is a massive joy to us, and we love it. But it is definitely challenging. And watching, if we look back at our sales career, like when you look at some of these other sales professionals that we got to work with, and like what they had to deal with to accomplish the same goals that we had to accomplish, but no children, no spouse, no true significant anyone else depending upon them. And they're just like, oh, I'm just so busy, so tired, so this.
Things
and I'm
are
like,
so hard.
So hard.
Yeah, like what did you do? You woke up in the morning, went to the gym, and then ate some food, and then went to the office, and then you work for a couple hours, and then you're home and watch some Seinfeld.
Yeah. Or like maybe you had to
that.
determine like if you were going to hang out with your friends that night or not, or maybe you were stuck in a softball league, but
No, it's
you're worried about
it's
one
tough.
bedtime.
You're worried about one bedtime, not 3 bedtimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let's actually put some, meat on the bone here for the sake of this podcast. I believe, let's, before I go into what I believe, because what I believe, I believe that children are the future, and that if you teach them well and let them lead the way, you can show them all the beauty they possess inside. Now, let's start here. Okay. No, I can't. Let's be serious. Okay, be serious here.
I'm taking my shoes off.
Do it. It's going to be a great episode. I can feel it.
All right.
When you were full-time producing, so we can talk about being a father in 2 contexts. One context being like, hey, when we were just full-time producers and we had our own businesses, and we were a business of one serving another business. We were an asset to this other business. But that was a different context than also being a father now as business owners, which actually is way harder.
Mm-hmm.
So at least in my opinion, it seems, even more complicated than it was when I was just being a producer. So as a producer, when you were a sales producer predominantly, what were practical things that you did to where you felt like you could 100% give what needed to be given at the office, and at the same time give what needed to be given at home?
Yeah. I think the first thing for me that has been what was important is to have dedicated days and times with your family. So for me, we started this tradition when my oldest he's about to be 7 in March, and we started a tradition. Actually, when I started my first business, before I was even selling full time, we started doing this, which is family breakfast on Sundays. We always go out to a restaurant every single Sunday, and we do family breakfasts. And it's getting to the point where the 3-year-old, everybody knows on Sundays that is what we do. And if we don't do that, then it's like, well, what's going on? Why aren't we going to family breakfast? But we typically go to First Watch. So having those, because I think a lot of people, when you have a family, is you look for balance, right? Which means balance means that it's symmetrical between the amount of time that you spend on your business or work, or the amount of time that you spend with your family in a given day. But the reality is, I personally don't think it's possible to have like a perfect balance. You and I have talked about this before. It's more you dial things up and then you dial things down, right? So during the week, things are pretty busy and dialed in, but I make sure there's times throughout the week and on the weekend where I have, like, on Sundays, we do family breakfast, we break bread together, we laugh, go to church. That time, work is pretty much dialed down to like 0. I mean, if you try to reach out to me on Sunday at 8 o'clock, I'm not going to be responsive. In fact, a lot of times I don't even take my phone with me. Like when we go to church, I'll leave it at the house. So someone has to text me, they've got to text my wife instead. And going through her, like, good luck. She can be scary.
She's protective of your time.
And she's very protective of my time. Yeah. So I would say the first thing is actually having dedicating pockets throughout the week. Another thing that I do now is on Saturdays, we have Boys' Day, which is basically I spend almost the whole day with the boys, hanging out with them. I took them to a Jurassic Park like show a couple weekends ago. Now that it's getting warmer, we're going to start doing more hiking. We'll do hiking, we'll go fishing, but we do something together. That time on the weekends, it's because I'm working throughout the week, like I'm pretty busy throughout the week, but on the weekends, I'm very strategic to create like moments and memories with them. So again, we have family breakfast, we have boys' days. So that's what I currently do now. I wasn't as good with this when I was producing full time. I'd say when I'm home, turning my phone off allowed me to like be present. Like whenever I was home, is making sure I'm like turning it off. So
yeah, that's really good. You said something where you said, I don't know, I think we've talked about this before. I don't know, maybe we haven't, but you said something, making memories, making moments with them. Best advice I've ever received about children. There's about 3 things in my life that I would say, hey, this is advice that has stuck with me above and beyond all things when it comes to being a parent. Of actual value, not funny stuff, but like things of actual value. I've got plenty that stuck with me that are hysterical. But as far as like of actual value, it was told to me, the question was, do your kids have a concept of time? And I said, no. And now, like 7 years later, they're both basically 11. And I'm like, yeah, they still don't have a concept of time. And they're brilliant. They're smart kids, but it's just kids just don't have a full concept of time and the understanding. And so the advice to me was, then stop spending time with your kids and start making moments with them. Yeah. And at first I didn't like that. I was like, why would you tell me not to spend time with my kids? Why would you tell me not to be a good dad? And it was like, once I got rid of that and realized, okay, that's just some weird, ignorant thing flaring up. And I heard the advice that was being given to me. It was like, what you think matters is not what actually matters to them. It's also not what they will remember. Yeah. My kids do not have a concept of how much time dad was actually with them. What they have is, was dad present? And in that moment, did we make a memory? Last week or this week, I don't remember. It doesn't matter. That's how long of a week this has been. I've been trying to get into this habit probably now, I don't know, for a couple months, where I turn on music around 5 or 6 o'clock. Like, turn it on through the Bluetooth speaker, and and that's normally when Allie has already started the cooking, or the kids, she's teaching them right now, so they've been joining in, or if I'm gonna, grill something. But I turn on music because I'm trying to shift the atmosphere, that this is the moment where we make memories. So I'm trying to use little, like, almost triggers in their brain, that it's like, oh, this is memory making time. This is moments that we're creating together. And instead of, like, they were like, are we going to play a game? Or are we going to watch a show? Because we'll watch certain shows with them, or, we play board games. And I was like, no, let's just be together. And Allie sat and taught all of us how to two-step. She grew up dancing in Texas, and she's
Yeah,
big,
yeah. I love
red
two-steps.
dirt
Dude,
Texas country girl. And
yes, sir.
and so it was so funny. So I started doing it with Myra, and so we just played crazy country music, and we're just having a great time. Just while the food's cooking, it's just waiting, and there's always about 20 to 30 minutes for something to cook or boil or whatever. And it's like that 30 minutes they have remembered, because they brought it up. They're like, is it dancing time again? They don't know that it was only about 22 minutes until the beeper went off on the chicken or whatever it was. All they know is that we danced, and all four of us danced in the living room to country music and learning. And now every time we put a song on, Asher's trying to count out the two-step moves. He's like, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, right? And he's trying to count it all out. And it's like, and it's funny because that was a moment. But they're not unaware of, like, well, Dad gave me 20 minutes today, and he owes me about another 45, and then this and that. What matters is when I come up and I'll play one game with him, like FIFA, or we'll play Madden or something. And then he knows, is Dad playing catch with me? Myra knows, am I listening to her tell her whole entire day? If she tells me the whole entire day in 5 minutes, phenomenal. She tells me the whole entire day in an hour, it doesn't matter. She just needs to know that I listen to her detailed describe to me her whole entire freaking day. My point to all of this is, I actually sometimes believe it's easier than we think to be good parents. I don't know about great, but good parents, solid, consistent parents, because the focus isn't like, oh, I feel guilty and I feel bad about how much time I spent with them, as opposed to, was my phone off? My favorite thing that you do is that you literally will just leave your phone for days. I do not enjoy it when you do it and it's affecting our work environment, but you will just leave your phone on Sunday. And I know, like, first of all, I don't want you calling me on Sunday, so sure as heck I'm not going to call you on Sunday. But it's like, you'll just leave your phone. And I've been trying to do it. I'm not as good as you yet, but because I get like all doomsday prepper and be like, but if Allie's phone goes down, we'll need a phone to call somebody. You know what I mean? And I'm
just like, hey, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
We'll be fine. We'll be okay.
Yeah. But I think you're just spot on, where it's like, what are the parameters that you have set up? Now, I think the kicker is, how important do you believe it is of that next step to honor those commitments? I know that seems like an easy question to answer, but maybe explain. Maybe here's a better question. How do you make sure that you're honoring your commitments that you said, like, for the family, I wanted this? How do you make sure that you're consistent in honoring that?
Well, first of all, I'm not the best at it. I kind of suck at it. I suck at it a lot of times, is honoring those commitments, especially when you are, like, we both work from home, like we meet in person, but both of us work from home. So it's very easy. Like, my commute is 10 seconds from the coffee maker to upstairs where my office is. So it's really easy to, not honor those. There's a couple things that I have been doing that has been helping, specifically on, like, putting my phone away, locking my phone up. I also started using an app called Opal, that basically it blocks certain apps on your phone at specific times. So all of my work apps are open at a specific time, and then at like 5 o'clock, all of my work apps get blocked, and then some of my social media apps pop up. So I have, like, social media, and I can do that. The other thing that I do, since I work at home, is changing my clothes. So when I go downstairs, one of the first things I do is I, like, put shorts on, and I'll put a hoodie on, and I typically will put on like a different type of hat because that tells me like mentally, oh, it's dad mode. I'm relaxed. I got my shorts on. I can be present with like the kids and everything. So I think just physically changing something has helped me a lot in order to like honor those commitments. And then honestly, just this is the great thing about marriage. I have a really good partner that holds me accountable to things. So if I'm not honoring like commitments, Kay will call me out on that. If I said I was supposed to do something at a specific time, Kay, like, she'll call me out on that. Trying to think what else. Oh, the other thing I do is I actually schedule personal stuff on my calendar. So like date night, I have scheduled on the calendar, in my work calendar. Your date night is on your work calendar as well. We can both see when we're going and taking our wives out. So I can, I have a mental, at the end of the day, whenever we have date night, I know mentally, oh, I need to unplug at this time because we have a babysitter coming over and we're gonna go out to dinner. And then having things like the boys' day I was talking about on the weekend where I can create memories, having a block on the weekend if we're gonna do something specific, blocking out, oh, we're going hiking, and putting that on my work calendar. So that way, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, throughout the week, leading up to the weekend, when I'm going to do that specific activity with the boys, I can't push it off, and I'm consistent because I look at my calendar multiple times a day, and so I consistently see that, oh, this weekend I have this thing planned. This weekend I do this. I'll block off when I'm like doing stuff at the church as well.
I also think what's great about that you do that, and I know we both do that, but what I love about that when you do that, because it aligns with your reflect and project principles that we teach a lot of the SDRs and the AEs, actually business owners as well. But that reflect and project by doing that and putting that on the same calendar that we put work on, because it's funny. Like to me, people are like, "Oh, well, do you have a work calendar and a personal calendar?" I'm like, wait, they're separate?
I do the same thing.
What business are you in? It's because the problem, and maybe this is it. I know we're a lot liking this. We love working.
Yeah.
Like, don't get it twisted. If you're watching this right now, if you're listening, you think, oh, these guys just must not like working. That's why it's easy to be dads or husband. No, it's actually the complete opposite. We love working. If we did not put these parameters in place, we could crush 14-hour days as if it was just a normal 6-hour work day or 8-hour work day, whatever.
Fun.
It's fun to work. I actually thoroughly enjoy it. I love going. I mean, even last night, it was funny. We do the dinner thing. We hung out. We talked. We played a game. I forget which one it was, cards. And we played cards. And so we did that. And then, the kids went and kind of did their little thing right before getting ready for bed. And then I go in to get a water and Allie sees me on the island and I'm on my phone. She's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was like, "I'm signing a contract." She's like, "Why are you signing a contract at 8 p.m.? I was like, "Oh, it just came through. I needed to sign it." And she's just like, she just shakes her head and she laughs because I'm like, "Yeah, awesome. A deal just happened. Great. Awesome. Here we go. Let's do this." And so I think for her, I think she's starting to see like these parameters matter. And I've been able to give her that control as well, being like, one, she has complete access to my calendar. I don't know if Kay does or not, but I mean, Allie, I've logged her in so she can see something and know what's going on and just be like, because I have zero to hide. Yeah. We don't hide passwords. We have joint bank accounts. Like I'm not saying like we're one of these weird couples where it's like, she's under my thumb or anything like that, but we have a proper hierarchy in our marriage. We are completely joint together. We are in this together 100%. But our belief is I lead this household, right? She is submitted to me in that sense, but I'm also submitted to God, which I actually think she has the better end of the deal. You know how hard it is to be submitted to God? He's way more powerful. And it's like we have a hierarchy set up to where it's like that, but on the same aspect, Allie, she has full control of anything. If she looks at me and she says, "Hey, how this is happening, you're not where you need to be. You're out of alignment." Yep. But I'm also very proactive, especially when I was full-time producing. I'd be like, "Hey, where am I falling short? Am I making memories with the kids?" And a lot of times she'll always do what drives me crazy. She'll be like, "Are you?" I'd be like, "Well, I'm asking you. That's why I'm trying to get a pulse on it." She goes, "Well, what memories do you remember?" And it's just like, well, that. But then when I'm on it, I do remember them. I can remember cards. We've been on a sequence kick. We just taught them a game called Pandemic, which is so much fun because everybody's together, the dancing. So it's like I can think about the last 2 weeks and been like, wow, I mean, we've really had a lot of memories that we've been able to make. And I just think for anybody that's out there, whether you're a business owner or a producer, it really doesn't matter. I think it's totally possible not to have balance, because again, we don't really believe in that. I believe in the dialing up and dialing it down, because you could say, well, yeah, you're off, so you're balanced. Well, no, I'm just not working.
Yeah.
I have turned down working and turned up more family focused. And it is kind of like I think it's more of an ebb and flow, push pull kind of scenario. What advice would you give right now to maybe younger dads, newer dads, who are wanting to be like legit high performers, wanting to, they've got big goals, big dreams. They're tackling down. I mean, I'm talking like legit things, but at the same aspect, they realize that their kids, they got 18 years and then at best, 18 years and then they're gone. Right. And they're becoming their own humans. What advice would you give?
Yeah. So the first thing that I would do, talking to you, whoever's watching this that has kids, is find someone who has kids that are grown and you admire their grown kids. So my first piece of advice is like, don't listen to anything that I say, because I have kids that are 7-year-olds and there's still a lot of things, God forbid, that I could do wrong. So I think a lot of people like to give parenting advice when they have like someone who they have a child that's 6 or 7 or even 10 years old. And for me, I'm always hesitant to give that advice, because I've seen so many people that have good kids and then those kids grow up and they're just like a mess. So find someone who has grown kids and those grown kids are really good and ask them what they did, because you want to look at the finished product. The finished product takes time, right? You're talking 20 years really to know if what I'm doing is right. My second piece of advice is, am I good? All right. Okay. I'm messing with the mic stand. My second piece of advice is, I would know that you're probably going to screw something up. Like you're not going to be perfect. And if you try to like be perfect and have the perfect parenting plan, that you're setting yourself up, you're setting the wrong expectation. The best thing that you can do for your kids, and this is what I personally believe. I want to hear your thoughts on this. But the best thing that you can do as a parent, in my opinion, is one, make sure the kids are loved and they know that they're loved by you and that you listen to them. And then your job as a parent is to foster whatever their thing is. There is, God gave you that child, created that child, put you in charge of that, taking care of that child. And your responsibility is to foster them and the unique gifts that God gave them, whatever that is, whether they are a salesperson, a business owner, they're an artist, whatever it is, So construction worker, your job is to find out what makes you tick, right? What are the things that excite you, make you happy? So like right now with our kids are little, but one of the things that we're trying right now is jujitsu. We're seeing, all right, does that make you tick? Is that something that you like? We want to find your thing, and we want to just foster and continue to cultivate that to the best of our abilities. So in summary, find someone who has older kids and ask them what they did. There's something that you're always going to screw up, and that's okay. Make sure that they're loved no matter what, and then your job is to find what is that thing that makes you tick and cultivate that inside of them.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, it's really good. I think we come from the school of thought, and our belief is that those kids were given to us and that it is our job to steward them.
Yes, steward. That's the word I was looking for.
We actually, we don't believe that those kids are ours. We truly believe that those kids are God's, and he asked us to steward them. If they were ours, then it would be about possession and us owning them and doing that. It's more or less like, no, my job is to create the most conducive environment for success for them, the best I can. Obviously, it ain't going to be perfect because I'm not perfect. So therefore, it is impossible for an imperfect person to create a perfect environment, right? That's why I'm not God. So it's like, we want to steward them, but on the same aspect, we are going to instill the beliefs, the principles that we operate our lives by. And we're going to pour that into them. I will say this. I agree with you in the sense of like, we've always been looking at people who have kids that are like already graduated high school, maybe in college, because we're like, what happened between all of that? I have a hard time going to taking advice. I see a lot of people right now like, oh, you just got married or you just got engaged and you're trying to give dating or marriage advice. And I'm like, please.
Like the popular thing.
Just shut the hell up because like you've been doing this for about 10 seconds and your ass don't need to be talking about what people have been doing for years and years and years. It's the same reason like I will give my advice on children very quickly. If someone asks for me, if they say, hey, Josh, how did you do this? I always say, this is how we did it. Yeah. And I'm very quick to be like, take this for a grain of salt because this might not work for you. This might not work for your culture, your household. This might not be best for your ecosystem. But I'm also not going to not give that advice when people come to us and say, hey, you got two 11-year-olds. One is extremely creative and one is extremely, athletic and brainy. How do you do it? Allie was just at this, kind of group setting where all these kids were playing together. And one mom was asking to her, she was like, you kind of got twins to a degree, right? and she's like, and they're different and they're on different levels and links and wave bands. How do you steward them both at the same time? And it's like, and she's the same. She's like, all I can do is tell you what I've done. I think if more people would present their advice and their thoughts in that manner of like, hey, I'm not law. I'm just telling you what I've seen work in our situation for our dynamic. And I do believe that if you can look ahead and start seeing people who have gone farther and find that, like, there's a guy who always tells me, it's an honor that he says this, like, hey, man, you're a great father. You're a great father. You need to write a book. You need to do a course on, being a father and all that. And it's like I cannot bring myself to it. As much as I love being a dad, as much as I think I'm a freaking legend of a dad, I can't teach on it because I'm like, I haven't earned it yet.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh, let me get back to
product's not finished.
Yeah, let me get back to you,
done cooking.
20 years, and I'll tell you how this beef tastes. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm interested to see all those parents that have they have like 3-year-olds and they have parenting courses on gentle parenting. Like, I'm really interested to see where that's at in the next.
If you are into gentle parenting, this is not the podcast for you. That is about the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Because the definition doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even line up. Gentleness is determined on the amount of pressure needed in that moment. If I'm pulling you from a burning car, am I being gentle? Yeah. If I have to rip you out, you know what I mean? Like, give me a freaking break. That's a bunch of hogwash is what that is. You know what kids need? More than anything. Here's my number one advice for it, and I'll give it away. You know what kids need more than anything else in the world? Consistency. Kids need you to be consistent. If you say you're going to do something, do it. I asked my kids the other day. I ask my kids almost every week, hey, tell me what dad did good this week and tell me how dad can get better. I've been asking that since I don't know how long. You see me do it. I'll ask them, what can I do better? And they'll be like, well, I feel like, and Asher, bro, he's about as on. Oh man, this dude got a book. He's like, what? I feel like we could have done Legos longer. I feel like we could have played more video games. I'm like, bro, everything around you is about you getting to play video games more, not actually about you hanging out with me. You're just trying to extend your video game time. But and Myra, she's just always like, it was great. Do you want to could we snuggle more? I'm just like, yeah, sure. How do we schedule snuggling?
You're gonna schedule snuggling.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I'll
just
put
like,
it in the calendar.
Yeah, do you want me to put it down on a 15-minute block? Do you want? Is this a couch thing?
Here's my Calendly.
Yeah, here's my Calendly. Can you book a snuggle?
Can you book a snuggle?
But it's the consistent, and I asked them the other day, I said, when mom and dad say they're going to do something, would you say that we do it or that sometimes we don't really do it? And I'm telling you, kids are honest.
Yeah.
Ashley's like, man, you guys always do it. And Myra's like, you guys are the best parents in the whole world. I'm like, oh, crap. Well, I'm not getting a real response out of you because I know we're not. But I have learned with them, it's like, even if we say we're going to do something, whether it's discipline, correction, something fun, you know, like even like if you say, hey, we're going to the park today, we're going to do it. And then boom, out of nowhere, it is pouring down, raining. And somehow I said we're going to the park and I didn't check the weather app. I will say, hey, I said we were going to do this today because the goal was to do something together, active, and have fun. Obviously, the rain is stopping us from doing that. What can we do that will feel that way and that will still be fun? Can we go jump park or can we do a game inside? Because it's about being consistent. Always be consistent. If you say you're going to do something, don't say, hey, you know, I'm going to count to 1, 2, or 3. And then if you don't do that, all you're doing is giving them 3 seconds to disobey.
Well, and you only have to, like the whole counting down for discipline. You only have to actually discipline a couple times before they know. Like if they know that you're serious, like with Sutherland, if I say, hey, you're gonna get a spank if you do that again. Yeah. He listens.
You know, we've never counted. Not once. I've never counted to my kids. I look at them in the eye. This is advice. This is the second pillar of advice I got. How could I discipline my kids or correct them and bring correction to a situation if I've never told them not to do something? What a horrible parent I would be. So I always look at them and I say this. Are you supposed to do that? Yes or no? And they say, no, we're not. Okay. So if you continue to do this thing that we have said don't do, like you don't take the chair and throw it through the window, right? So we're not going to take the baseball and try to throw it at the glass because it will break. So if you throw that baseball at the glass one more time, what will happen? Oh, there'll be when we were spanking them, it was like, oh, it'd be a spanking or a privilege or something, right? Some form of discipline and correction. And then they'd be like, yep, I haven't. So tell me back what's going to happen if you throw the baseball through the glass window. If I throw the baseball through the glass window, I will get a spanking. Okay, so you now understand the concepts and the parameters. They're like, yes. So that way, if next time they throw the baseball through the glass window, now we have set the precedence of what's going to happen. But the other part is you actually have to carry that out. You have to carry out the correction, the discipline. Also, you have to carry out the reconciliation every time as well. But you have to carry out the things that you say you're going to do. Mm-hmm. Kids just need consistency.
Yeah, we do the same thing. I don't think we've ever counted down for things. We do the exact same thing where we'll say, here is, because you don't ever want to, in my opinion, provide a consequence without them knowing. They should not know. And even when because we're still in the stage where we'll spank, I always ask, why are you getting a spank? Do you understand why? Because it's so important for them to actually understand, okay, I'm getting disciplined.
Yep.
Why am I getting disciplined? But we use it on the flip side. Last night, it was raining, and Guthrie, the 3-year-old, was scared, and he came downstairs, jumped in our bed, and I told him, hey, you got to go back upstairs, okay? But I said, we can lay in bed since it's raining, and we can watch some basketball. And so we were like laying in bed watching basketball. And I asked him as we were watching, I said, when this game is over, what are you going to do? He's like, I'm going to go to bed. Okay, just to be clear, when this game is over, what are you going to do? I'm going to go to bed. I asked him, I think like 2 or 3 times to get him to like confirm. And then I say, are you going to go to bed by yourself, or is Daddy going to have to carry you upstairs? I'm going to go to bed by myself. Okay. And so that way, when the game was over, there was no arguing, oh, I don't want to go to bed now, or can I do this? It's like we already made an agreement ahead of time. I'm going to let you can hang out in our bed. I'm going to let you do this thing. But when it's done, what is going to happen? Right? When we're done watching this show and we're done doing this thing, what are we going to do? Mm-hmm. You know?
Dude, first of all, how is that not a sales call? So how long have you been stuck in this? How long have you been stuck in this problem? For a long time. How long do you want to stay stuck in this problem? I don't want anymore. So if I could give you a solution right now that would get you unstuck from this problem, would you want to do that? Yes, I would. Okay, so if I'm understanding you correctly, you want to actually solve this problem. Yeah. Okay, great. Now I can move on. I have got the anchor point of pain.
Yeah.
You see how simple it is? That's why I tell people, I'm like, sales might not be easy, but it sure as hell is simple.
Yeah.
It is as simple.
3-year-old understands it.
I'll never, it always makes me laugh when people come over for dinner and it's like bedtime and I'll tell the kids, hey, brush your teeth, get ready for bed. And it's pretty much, they go upstairs, brush your teeth, get ready. People are like, how do you get them to just do that? I'm like, what do you mean? I just tell them to do it and they do it. They're like, oh, your kids are so well behaved. I'm like, no, you weren't there when it was like 2 years old and 3 years old. And we were saying, hey, right now it's time to brush your teeth. So when we say brush your teeth, we go and do that. And if there's ever a slight variance of not doing what we said, that is missing the mark. Therefore, that is disobedience. Didn't mean that they got, spanking or discipline. It meant that it was our job to correct, reroute like freaking GPS. Nope. Okay, I understand that you want to go play with that toy, but what did Dad say? It's time to, or however a 2-year-old says it or 3-year-old says it, brush teeth or something, right? And all right, so let's now go brush our teeth. And we just talk to them straight up, right? You know what I mean? And we guide them. It's like a autopilot, right? So autopilot, you take off from the destination and it basically comes to a point to where autopilot brings you here. So if the plane starts to veer one way or another, autopilot just corrects it and makes it go back. And so it's just kind of flowing. And I'm like, that's pretty much what parenting is. You here are the parameters, here are the rules, and it works the same well for me being a parent. Josh, if you're going to be a good parent, you'll need to turn your stupid phone off at the dinner table and not be so addicted to anything other than your family when it's time to be focused on your family. Yeah. And the correction is, in this case, it's Allie saying, yeah. And now it's this. It's the look down. It's like, yeah, I got you on that. You know what I mean? It is the putting the phone away because it's a gentle reminder like, hey, you said you weren't going to be on your phone at the dinner table. You said that nothing that happened on Slack, Telegram, anything else took precedence over, whether it be dinner time, church time, whether it be, whatever the thing is that we're doing. She's like, so, but that's what you said. And you asked me to hold you to that commitment. I'm like, you're right, 100%. And there will be times when I'll say, hey, something is happening right now. Is it okay if we make an adjustment on this? Can we push back dinner 30 minutes? Can we do this? And we have that understanding, but we adhere to the principles, to the parameters. So that way it's the same as what I would want for my kids. I don't want to have to go tell my kids 10,000 times to brush your teeth. Damn it, who the hell wants to do that? Nobody wants to do that. Nobody enjoys. Name one parent, one mom. Find me one mom who wants to have to tell her kids, stop talking, stop talking, stop talking. Nobody. So why don't we do things that show and guide and correct? But on the same aspect, I must also hold myself accountable to those exact same standards. You said, Josh, that this is the type of father you want to be. This is the type of husband you want to be. Then you need to honor the commitments that you put before yourself. Because how could I ask them to live up to something that I won't do?
Yeah. And I think it also, you bring up the point where, people see your kids and they're like impressed with how so well behaved they are, but they don't realize what you had to go through to get through that. And I say go through as if it's like this terrible thing, but I mean,
it is a trial.
It 100% is. But the 3-year-old that we have right now, he's going through the phase where he is testing his boundaries and he's seeing what he can get away with, and he will tell him no, and he will cry on certain things, and we'll say, no, you need to do this instead. You need to get in the car. I want to take this Lego man with me. We're not taking the Lego man. And it's during that, it's a very short period. But if, again, raising one kid that in my opinion is really well behaved, if you can make it through that, right, that period where they're testing the boundaries and they're putting up resistance, and you can hold strong to be like, no, we're going to do this. No, we're going to do this. That's tough. And I think that's why a lot of parents, they don't realize the seeds that they're planting early on, where, we'll use the example. So we go to breakfast every single Sunday. The boys know how to sit at a restaurant. Like, the 3-year-old's not perfect, but they can sit there and color. We don't do any iPads or screens. We never have. They don't need to sit there, and they don't need to watch a show or anything. But do you know how hard it was for like a period of probably a year or so with the 3-year-old, and in Sutherland when he was little, it was hard to take them to a restaurant and to get them to sit down and them yelling, and I would have to get up. There was times I'd have to get up and walk outside. And it's really easy to be like, oh, just watch this show.
But honestly,
we're not going to go to restaurants. You see a lot of people like, oh, we can't go to restaurants.
Oh, we can't. It's like, no. We got good at, thank God my wife loves books. She got good at having them bring books. You know, even if no matter how young they were, we brought books. We got really good at bringing literally, they're called like restaurant table type games, where it's like a little tiny game that you can, just carry with you in your purse or in your pocket, so you can play a game as a family or talk. We got good at bringing cards. Allie made a list of questions to ask and play with and to ask each other, or little mini games that we could play, because it was like, if we're going to be together, why are we even eating together if we're not actually going to be together? So I just think it's really, really important that, I want to say this, in the season that you're in right now, even though I'm past that season, that it's actually happening all over again right now at 11, because
they're about to be teenagers.
Hormones are kicking in. Yeah. They're growing. So now they have a new set of emotions. Yeah. So now my kids are now trying to push the boundaries, but they're not intentionally being malicious or wrong or anything. It's just like, I have these new feelings and I have these new thoughts, and all of a sudden, you've always told me this, and I believe, but now I have my own beliefs to a degree. And it's like, what do I do with that? And so now we've had to even adapt our parenting style now, because we're like, oh, you know what worked at 3 or 5 is not working at 11. That means we have to adjust. And a lot of times I think with parents, they keep trying to stay the same way, the same thing. And it's like, but that's a human. And that human is changing and evolving. So therefore, the way that you speak to them and engage with them, before this podcasting today, my son and daughter are talking to each other. They don't even realize they sound like jerks sometimes to each other, because I don't think they're fully grasping, like, oh, how I just said that is so rude or wrong or belittling. And I have to look at them and be like, we don't do this. We don't speak that way. It sounds like this. Do you want to sound that way? No, I don't. Okay. Do you want to sound this way? Or how are we acting Christ-like? How is what you just did representative of acting like Jesus in that? Yeah. Well, it's not. How? Well, because it's not, one of the fruits of the Spirit. It's not this. Okay, great. So we don't want to act that way, right? Right. You stop sounding like that. You sound like a jerk when you talk to her like that. Do you want to sound that way? Do you enjoy? Would you want to be talked to that way? No, I didn't know I was. I know. And that's okay. No one's in trouble right now. And it's not about that. It's about, you need to be aware. And I think from what I've heard from the parents that we're, looking at that are years ahead of us, there's 2 more of these cycles apparently before they're out of the house. So we're just trying to learn right now. We're like playing catch up. We're like, okay, so all right, we've gone through about 3 or 4 cycles. We got 2 more maybe left, or I don't know. But I would just say this. I know it's probably a good time to wrap up. I would say this as we end this. You have to find what is your thing. You have to find the thing that is 100%. Like, this is the way this household operates. This is what we believe, especially if you're a person of faith at all and you're aligning yourself with the way that God operates. Then you have to have those parameters and you have to be in agreements. First and foremost, you know what makes your relationship great? It's because you and Kay are in unity, not uniformity, but unity. Allie and I, we believe that we are in unity. So we come together, even when we don't agree about something, we work through that to make sure that what we're doing for our kids is in alignment. Because if you and your spouse can be in alignment on whatever it is, then it doesn't matter if it's a push season or a pull season for work. You can 100% give what you need to give at your workplace, your business, your opportunity. At the same time, when it's time to dial up family and dial down work, give them what they are needed. And also get what you need to get as well. There are times when, you've gone off by yourself. I've gone off by myself, or we get a day to ourselves or a moment. It's few. I'd like them to be more, but it does happen, right? Yeah. But I would just say to you, it is possible to have the life that you want in professionally and personally. So I encourage you, if for any reason you want to have a chat about this or you want to know more about this, we know tons of people you could talk to. Obviously, Jake and I would talk to you. You can hit us up on socials. We talk to you. But I will say this, it is possible. Just set your parameters, set your boundaries, and hold yourself accountable to those boundaries. And I think that's it. Till next time, stay sharp.